our topic that we had for today, and is selling digital embellishments. And we've probably all talked about it, but I think this is a good group to get some ideas from, because it's different from selling, I think, a lot of other different things. And one of the I think biggest parts of selling embellishments, digital specifically, is and I think everybody agrees, is making sure you have good samples. If you got, you're talking to a customer, I mean, you can talk to them on the phone, you can send an email, but being able to either send or talk to them in person, to be able to show them what these processes can do, from the raised, that's something you can't show in a picture. How the tactile side of the raised coating, the raised spot coating, or even the raised foil, because we know on the digital, with digital techniques, that you can raise the foil as well. So you can't, even with more standard foil, if it's hot foil or cold foil, you can get a pretty good idea from a photo. Digital processes, you really can't. So, I always stress to everybody that you got to make sure you've got samples in place, so you can show them, what it really can do. But I'm, eager to hear from, I think we can have a couple perspectives from like Ryan and Spencer, talking about how they sell, because they're from the machine side, or Michael and Katie, how you and Bob, how you sell, from the aspect of actually having the processes available and be able to sell it. So I don't know. And Michael, I saw you turned off, so I'm going to start with you. What are some suggestions you have when you're out there? And one thing I think is interesting with Michael and Bob is that they have been involved with more conventional foil and conventional embellishments for a long time, and now they both have this. They have digital on their plate. Michael, how does that change how you sell embellishments overall, when now you have both conventional and digital?
Well, to start with, there hasn't been a single job that we have taken from conventional and put it in digital, or likewise sold it digital and then talked them into running it conventional. The one does not steal from the other. It is never stolen. They look completely different. It's a completely different marketplace to be in. Even in longer run stuff, there's just a way to sell it. And I would say the biggest part of us being able to sell it, and Katie will attest to this because Katie is involved in it literally daily, is I'll just use an example of a job we just got in house. The customer says, well, my customer wants to see what this sparkle job would look like with just gold foil, but what else do you have? So I bring in about a dozen printed sheets from my customer, give Katie an art file. She takes a look at it. And I took my customer back 5 different options on how they could do the job. Just regular raised gold foil, or else there were 4 other options where she did a foil with a clear polymer effect on top of it to create a what's the word I'm looking for, Katie? It's a glitter type of effect.
Glitter.
Added that effect on top of the foil, and I was able to just lay it on the customer, and you pick A to C here. Tell me what it is that you want, and they ended up just going with regular gold foil because we also typically price it out ahead of time, and we could tell them, okay, here's your standard. That's going to be $1 a sheet. This one's $1.25. This one's $1.27. This one's $1.29 a sheet. Which way do you want to go? And just let them make by being able to run one-offs makes sales so much easier, to walk in with exactly what the customer wants and giving them options, because it's literally just done in the pre-press. It's done in Katie's mind.
So one of the options was a glitter polymer, right? A glitter UV that was used along with the foil.
Yeah, we laid the regular foil down. Well, Katie, you tell them how you did that.
Yeah, it was really just clear polymer over top of foil,
Yeah.
and the way that it catches the light made it appear glittery with the pattern that was used.
Okay. So it wasn't glitter in the coating, because I know on the Scodex you can actually put glitter in the polymer, I think.
Yes, but I wouldn't ever recommend it.
Really? Yeah. Bob, is that how you feel too? I mean, I know I've seen samples, but yeah.
Yeah, so well, to kind of be the opposite of Michael a little bit, maybe, because we do look at workflow. So we will present samples, hot, Scodex, silk screen, you know, whole foil. I mean, we can foil pretty much every way possible.
Anyway,
So
possible. Yeah.
yeah. So and a lot of times we'll look at things and say, okay, this could be this is not a new job, but guess what? Our hot stampers are really full right now. Let's see what it looks like, with Scodex foil. And just for the necessity of workflow and dollars out every month, you look at it and you say, well, let's show it to the customer. If they don't care, same price to them, and we'll have more output that month. So, we'll flip around a little bit. Now, when it comes to new jobs, we kind of don't always do that. We'll present like Michael does present different options, and we have put Scodex gold on top of silver rainbow foil board or full foil, and like Katie had mentioned, raise it up a little bit, and it's more of a mound depending upon how the light hits that makes it very emotional, very glittery sometimes. So you get a lot of effects out of raised polymer, depending on the product. And you got to be careful around the creases. Just kind of lean it down a little bit, and they're usually okay. So
That's interesting. Do you guys see something else that comes to my mind is that have you done samples? Because again, you can do samples on a digital Harrison Bruno, Scodex, MGI, whatever. You can do sampling without having to buy dies and tooling and so forth. Have you seen situations where you've been able to use the digital embellishment samples that say, hey, it's going to be a little different conventional hot stamping, but it's a job that probably makes more sense for foil stamping, let's say, that you can use a sample off the digital press to sell them on the ability to embellish, period. And it may be one or the other. Can you use it for prototyping? I think that's the word I was looking for. Can you use the digital press for some prototyping?
we do. Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yep, yep.
Great. And I would think Spencer, Ryan, getting your perspective on that. I think that can be a selling point, like even for you guys when you're talking to, let's say, a folding carton company or maybe a larger print finisher like Michael and Kate, at LPI. I think that could be a selling point that that your type of machine not only can do production, but it can be used for prototyping too. I don't know if you've come across that.
Well, we did that actually, Jeff, a couple of years ago. We had a regular customer that did an advent calendar every holiday with us, and they had never utilized any sort of foil or anything on it. And when we got the artwork that year for the piece, we ended up quickly outputting a couple of prototypes, and I had Katie do what she wanted to do with showing them something. We ended up showing them this, and they said, "How much more is this?" And I told them, it's $1 more a box, and they said, "Go with it." So they didn't even budget that into their work that year, but because we were able to show them something different quickly without the use of buying dies and everything, they loved it. And every year since then, last year I think they just did a clear polymer on top of it, and 2 years now we've done foil on top of their stuff.
Great. Spencer, is that something you guys talk to customers about, that it can be used for that as well?
Yeah. I mean, we were actually, it was funny, we went to Drupa and we're like, oh, we're going to run these 2 or 3 jobs, and And then when we were at Drupa, maybe day 1 or day 2, everyone was like, can we run some new stuff? So the whole show for us just turned into a bunch of different prototyping, different samples and everything. So it was kind of fun showing customers, oh, yeah, this is what we did yesterday. And then new one pops off the machine and they're like, this is what you do today. So I think seeing it really made people believe. But the biggest thing for me, Jeff, and I've seen it a lot going to the FSEA events, the couple that I've gotten to go to. I'm not always a big flashy guy, I love the samples, but I hate to be a numbers guy sometimes. But hearing some of the numbers about digital embellishment, like shelf velocity and everything, can't remember what that exact number is, but any packaged item with one piece of digital, or sorry, any kind of embellishment on it, it has like a 60% higher likelihood of going off the shelf. I mean, you hear stuff like that, and at the end of the day, we're trying to sell stuff, right? We're trying to
Yeah.
sell boxes, cartons, whatever it may be. So that all to me that's the kind of strategies I always like to hone in on when someone doesn't know how they're going to sell.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's
100%.
great. And, yeah, and we have some studies we did with Clemson about
Yep.
shelf presence, so that all of you guys have availability to on using foil decoration and shelf presence. So take advantage to get online to get those if you want those. And
Yeah, I still remember that one, and I use it all the time. That was a great study. Yeah.
so we have to go along with that. So this group knows, and we'll be doing some heavy promotion on it here very soon, because we're kind of putting the actual piece together for it. Is we just got done, and I think I brought it up to those who've been on this a little bit, is we just got done with the study that was direct mail oriented. Most of the things we've done in the past has all been kind of packaging, like the shelf presence situation, Spencer, like you bring up. But we wanted to do something different, and what other area can you get actual facts from? And we did that. So we said direct mail is another area, response rate. How can embellishments actually increase response rates? So we worked with Hudson Printing, and you guys probably know, I don't know if you know Steve or Paul at Hudson Printing, but they actually created a direct mail postcard. Maybe I showed it. I think I have it. That was for a car wash, and here's the postcard. Yep. So you can't see it. You can see the gold foil, but we use a textured polymer in all around the headlights and the water coming out of the car wash. And we did about 4,000 of these with all embellished and cool for a free car wash, and it has a separate barcode for the free car wash. The other half of the cards looked just like this, but they were just plain printed. There was no embellishments. So in the same neighborhood around a brand new car wash, we sent 4,000 of these and 4,000 that was just a plain printed for a free car wash. And of course, the barcodes were different for each one, so we could track the car wash for us. I helped get this all together for him. The car wash tracked the number of postcards that came in for a free car wash that was just off the printed one, and how many came in with the embellished postcard. And there was virtually exactly a 4% increase in the number that came back for a car wash with embellishments, which I think you guys know in direct mail, 4% is a pretty large number, 4% difference. So we're kind of putting together the whole story, and we're going to have that in a flyer PDF, and I'll make sure you guys all have that. And we're going to leave it very general, and we may say it was done digitally because it was done on a digital press, but of course this is the type of thing that applies to, doesn't matter what kind of embellishment that you're using, but it's something you guys can use and even say, because you're in the digital side, that this was done digitally with digital foil and digital textured polymer or textured coatings. Anyways, I wanted to let you guys know that it's going to be another tool for selling, and we'll have that.
Awesome.
I think
awesome.
Yeah.
Yep. Can't wait to get my hands on that one, Jeff.
It'll be here soon.
All right.
Jeff, was it personalized or was it just generic?
It was just generic. We discussed, doing something like that. And Karen, I think that's a great question because of course, digitally,
Yeah.
you have the opportunity. On this one, we just, basically the difference was, as I mentioned, that there was a whole different barcode for the printed ones and then a different barcode for the embellished ones. So every time that car wash person scanned it, they would scan the barcode. It kept track of which one was which ones were printed and which ones were not. So the car washes actually come back to say they want to do more mailings with foil
Nice,
coatings on.
nice.
So that's great news. Hey, Mark, haven't heard from you, and that's unusual. No, I'm just kidding. But I think if you have any comments, because you're involved a lot, certainly with your process with the Color Logic software, how you've seen that, showing samples and so forth, how that helps sell probably any types of embellishments, but of course we're talking about digital here.
Sure. Now you got it spot on there. It is all about that. And, we first started a company. It's funny. I went out after the first year or two and we bumped into our customers and said, "What have you done?" And they all said, "We've been too busy." And I'm going, but you just bought a brand new press. You've bought a new system and they're waiting for the order. So, what we started doing, we actually supply 125 press ready marketing files with 300 SKUs to jumpstart people's marketing. Because you're exactly right. We found the customers that went out with samples, they got a real quick return on their investment. That's no doubt. So I think it's all about that. The other thing too is it's not just the customers. It's also like a lot of people have brought up, like Katie, I guess, it's getting the designer involved that know it's even possible. That's the thing that misses. People invest in the press and they forget to get their sales team to go to the designer. Don't go to procurement, go to the designer, get at the design stage. And not probably a lot of the veterans here, but that's what happens with a lot of digital clients. They're just in procurement mode. They're not at the design stage. Chief marketing officer, the chief financial officer, you want to talk to the president.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
and I think that's interesting, Mark, because one of the things I see out there in the landscape is the companies that are being the most successful, maybe even more with the digital embellishment side. The ones that are being the most successful with it, that have presses, have a design, that either the person that is the head of the company has a real design, creative personality, or they have somebody that's on staff to do that. Just like, Michael, Katie's doing that for LPI, really, has that element. I think it's somebody, of course, it's been on some of our calls, like Christine at Print Panther, who's, she's the owner of her company.
Yeah, I left you a message on either
she has such a creative, she has that creative side to her. And I think I think either the person running the business, or you better have somebody on staff that has that creativeness of, on what types of samples and understanding a customer that you want to do sampling for the customer, I think that makes a lot of sense.
To do it here.
Yeah, I think also, we deal with Diageo and we deal with other brands. What I thought was interesting from Diageo, most of the people you hear from P&G is that first moment of truth, the first 3 seconds on the shelf. Yeah. Then you talk to somebody like Kevin over at Diageo and they go, no, it's the first 5 minutes when they're spending that kind of money on liquor. It's that whole feel. So that's what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to make inexpensive print come that way that people take even more than 3 seconds.
Right.
And I think it's great about what you did on your coupon. I mean, 4% is a lot of percent.
Yeah, it's a big difference. So, we'll have that available for everyone.
I was, Michael and Katie were saying earlier, and then Jeff, what you were just saying now about getting designers involved, that was resonating with me a bit. And Spencer's gonna throw something at me over the wall here because he's heard me say this one too many times. But people don't know what they don't know, and by giving them, there's the head shake. By giving them multiple options, right? Here's 5 different ones. Which one do you like? They may discover something that they didn't even know was possible. And by getting those designers involved, those designers are thinking of possibilities, and now you're spitting out examples for people to go, oh, I like this one best, or I like
Yeah.
because it becomes so subjective at that point to the customer. It's not about what one person wants. It's about, what they particularly like rather than what the designer likes. So if a designer can go, here, pick which one you want, or they can go, oh, I like this, but can you also do this? Like, that's a huge win. And if we can show customers or even clients how easy that stuff is, that's just a huge win.
I'm 100%. And I think I'm a little plug for Kevin. I know he's not on there, but I believe Friday he's got a design, it's not a webinar, but a group where he's brought, he started this and he only had maybe 3 or 4 designers signed up for it, talking about designing for digital. And now he's got like 35 or 40. He's got us as one, Digital Embellishment Alliance is one of the sponsors. I'm going to try to get on there Friday because he wants me to even say some things, but he's kind of started building that up. And I think that's awesome. And we're going to support it. I know Sabine Lenz is kind of helping him get the word out. And she's got a lot of designers that she talks to. So, but I think Ryan, you're exactly right. That makes a lot of sense. 100%.
Yeah, Jeff, when you
Designers are
said,
very uneducated. I mean, they don't even necessarily know about the paper that they're printing on.
Yeah.
I mean, that shiny stuff and the not so shiny stuff, which
Yeah.
one should I use? So yeah, I think educating designers is huge.
100%. And I plugging Spencer and Ryan a little bit is that being able to show them things like, hey, you don't have to have a laminated sheet to be able to add digital embellishments to it, to add the coatings, and that's some of the things I know you guys are doing is being able to put the coating, a regular coating down. Doesn't need to be a laminated sheet to get what you want and and make it look super cool with the digital processes. And just all that education on what works and what can't work, that makes it, it's going to make a difference. So I think that's, and you're right. We're talking about selling today, and Mark brings it up. If you can get to that, to the design side, even at a company, then I think it helps sell the process.
I'll bring something up too, because we're all involved in this now. The way the world is, 70% of our business is outside the U.S. ColorLogic. It's maybe down to 65% this year. So internationally, the same issue. Whether we're in France and all these other countries, we sold in 75 countries. We just started using Google Doc, Google Translate, and our manuals digitally. Now we're supporting 133 languages. And that's one thing we got to remember. It's not just about us Americans speaking. No offense, all of us here. I don't speak any other language. I have enough problem with English. But the designers all over the world, it's the same problem. I mean, I do it globally. And that's something that us manufacturers have to take into account, that it's not just, oh, look, it's
right. It's not just us here.
Yeah.
100%.
And I saw a lot of nice samples in Italy. I tell you, they're doing some beautiful work over there.
Yeah. You work with Cartez over there, Mark?
No, but we're dealing mostly on digital with Rico and those kind of people, but it's a pretty amazing. Flexo obviously is big in Italy, and what they're doing with varnishes and stuff. The packaging over there was really neat. I mean, just some
cool
nice stuff. The foils, like you're saying, the varnishes, they're ahead of us a little bit. I hate to tell you.
Yeah.
they love their bling in Italy.
Yeah, you're right. I think they really love bling there. We just need more Americans to love bling, right?
Yeah. When my parents were cleaning out my grandma's house, they were going through all of her jewelry. She had all these gold chains and everything, they're like, who is this for? Yeah.
Hey, guess
like
who's doing
wondering
all the
about her
Olympic
past.
boxes? Did you hear who's doing the Olympic boxes?
I didn't, no.
Louis Vuitton.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Jeez.
I
Yeah.
can't wait to see what they come up with.
I bet
right?
those
That
are
makes sense.
It makes sense.
Wow.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, our 30 minutes is about up. I think we had some good conversation here. One thing we're doing is we're recording these. If you guys go to our, to the community, the DEA community site, the embellishdigital.com, we're recording these different catch-ups. So, and I'll let some people that didn't get on, they can get on there and check it out and watch it as well. So, and we'll keep you updated on our next one. We'll probably do one middle of the month or so next month.
Take care, everybody.
Thanks,
Sounds
guys.
good. We'll see you guys.
See ya.
Talk
Thanks,
soon.
guys.